Alright, in this topic, we're going to talk about interactions, man's impact on the environment. Okay, so let's look at the mind map. So in the middle of the mind map, we have man's impact, and there are two main impacts that you need to learn. The first one is the negative, and the second one is the positive. Frankly, more questions will be asking you for the negative, so make sure you know what are all the negative of the man's impact on the environment. So there are a few that you need to know. One of them is we use up natural resources. That's one of the negative impact. Deforestation, pollution, and global warming. So these are the four you need to know. In terms of positive impact, we have reforestation, which is growing forest again, and we have conserving natural resources, where we have the 3 R's. So that's a very brief mind map on the man's impact on the environment. Let's move on. So some negative impacts where we use up or deplete natural resources. Deplete is basically we use up the natural resources. So extracting fossil fuels from the sea. So humans extract a lot of fossil fuels from the earth, and fossil fuels are limited, so they cannot be replaced quickly once we deplete them. So we have to be careful about the way we use fossil fuels. So is mining. So mining obtains metals and minerals from the ground, but these metals and minerals cannot be replaced once they are removed. Mining also causes a lot of pollution. So you can see here, this is polluted water, all right? And this is also polluted water. And basically this entire place is polluted, and no more animals or other organisms can stay in this area after humans have mined the area. We have also deforestation that can deplete our natural resource of trees. So if you compare here, if we cut away all the trees, there'll be no more trees on this side, and there are still trees on this side of the forest. So we use up our natural resources of trees. The other way we use our natural resources is called overfishing, where we deplete the population of fishes in the sea. So if we continue to overfish, there might be no more fishes to eat one day. So can you imagine if one ship can fish this large amount of fish, we will have no more fish in the oceans very soon. So let's talk about deforestation. What is that? Deforestation is basically we clear the forest by burning or cutting down trees. So we clear the forest to grow plantations. We use the wood to make furniture and many other things. So this used to be a tree. And you can see at the background, the trees are still there. But now this whole area the trees are all wiped out, all right? I've deforested because humans have either burned or cut down the trees. So what are some bad effects of deforestation? You have loss of habitat. So deforestation causes animals to lose their habitats. So without food and shelter, the animals will die. So this chimpanzee here, or orangutan, has got lost his home, all right? And likewise, this koala bear has also lost his home. They have no more place to stay, and they have no more food to eat because humans have cut down all the trees. Another negative impact of deforestation is dry land. So deforestation causes land to dry up because of less rainfall. And there's lesser rainfall because there are fewer trees to give out water vapor into the air, so less clouds are formed, which leads to less rainfall. So this is an example of a cracked mud floor because there's no rain, all right? This is also dry land because there is no rain on these parts of the land, right? This is also very dry. Now, deforestation also caused an increase in carbon dioxide. So if you look at the CO2 in our environment, it has been on an upward trend, the carbon dioxide. So the amount of carbon dioxide increases because there are fewer trees to absorb it. So how do trees absorb? When they go through the process called photosynthesis, all right? where they will absorb carbon dioxide, and they will make food and produce oxygen. Alright, so if there are fewer trees, you have fewer trees that absorb it, so therefore the carbon dioxide will increase, and because carbon dioxide trap the sun's heat, alright, and therefore it causes global warming. Deforestation also causes soil erosion. Soil erosion is basically the soil being swept away by rain or wind. Alright, so soil erosion is caused by deforestation as there are fewer roots holding onto the soil. So this part of the soil, alright, has actually eroded because there are fewer roots holding onto the soil, so the soil will be swept away by the rain and the wind. And this soil is washed into rivers and lakes, and the soil will block out sunlight and kill the aquatic plants. So this is a lake or a river with lots of sediments. Alright, so sediments is the name where you have the soil from here, when you have rain coming down and the soil wash into the ocean or the river, and that's what you call it. You call it sediments. Another negative impact of man is pollution and waste. So if we do not dispose of human and animal waste properly, it will pollute the water and the land. So if you look at this is a very serious pollution of human waste. Alright, so there's a lot of waste over here which pollutes the environment. So bacteria and other harmful organisms can also grow quickly in waste pollution. So over here there will be a lot of bacteria and other harmful organisms. And waste such as plastics and ceramics will not decompose and will only add to it. So if you have a lot of plastic cups and bowls and ceramic cups, it will still be around even hundreds of years later, which will contribute to the waste disposal problem. So there's also pollution of harmful chemicals, alright, so air and water pollution from factories. So this is the air pollution, and this part is the water pollution from factories. Farms will also have a lot of pollution. So this is a typical farm where you have some kind of chemicals in the farm. Land runoff is basically erosion. You store the field manure, which is the feces from animals, as fertilizer. You have slurries, you have yard for washings. So farms will also have a lot of water. They produce a lot of water pollution, especially from their fertilizers and all the other chemicals that they use to grow animals and also to grow plants. So let's talk about smoke pollution. Smoke causes acid rain, all right, which is this, because when the smoke mix with the clouds, they create something called acid rain. All right, and what acid rain does is it deteriorates the forest. It will kill the forest. It will kill forest, and it will also corrode. It will also corrode statues and make them look very ugly. And the other way is that people will burn forest to clear land for farming. It causes smoke and haze in our environment. So this is actually burning forest. All right, and this will cause a lot of haze. Now let's talk about global warming. So there's actually something called the natural greenhouse effect, where you have the sun, and the sun's heat will come into the earth, and then it will reflect out back into space. But because now there are global warming gases like carbon dioxide, what happens to the sun's heat is that as the sun heat comes into the earth, it will reflect, and the global warming layer will reflect the heat back into earth, and therefore it will, what's the effect is, it will increase the temperature on earth. Alright, so that's the effects of global warming, because it reflects back the light from reflects back the heat from the sun back to the earth. So if you look here, global warming gases trap the heat from the sun, and this heat keeps the earth warm and will increase the temperature on earth. So let's look at some of the effects of global warming. Alright, so this over here we have a very skinny polar bear because he has no food and he has lost his habitat due to the melting of polar ice caps. So one of the effects of global warming is that the polar ice caps, that's the ice in the north and the south pole, will start to melt, and all these animals will lose their habitat. So melting polar ice caps will cause sea levels to rise, and water will cover many areas near the sea. So this is what happens when the water starts to rise, and countries such as Singapore will be affected because we are a small island. And if, let's say, the sea levels rise, and it will cover up our shores. So this is, and if the sea level rises this amount, then this will be the final land area of Singapore, which is much smaller than last time. Alright, so it will affect countries such as islands like Singapore. So global warming can also cause changes in weather. So now we are getting a lot of extreme weather where floods and droughts will become more common. So you have a flooding situation here, and you have a drought. So there will be some areas in the world where you have too much water, and then there will be other areas where you have too little water, and that causes droughts to happen. So now let's look at the positive impact of humans on the environment. So first of all, we can conserve natural resources by reducing the amount that we use. Alright, so these are the three common things that we always talk about: recycle, reuse, and reduce. Alright, so one of the things we can reduce is to reduce the packaging of foods. Instead of packing each banana in one box like that, alright, so one banana in one box, buy bananas in its natural packaging, which is in the peel. Alright, so this is less packaging, and this will help to reduce the amount of material that we use. So in terms of reuse and recycle, so we can reuse old plastic bags or use reusable bags when shopping. So this is what you call a reusable bag, and you can use them while shopping, and you can use them again and again. Or you can also recycle, have the habit to recycle. You can recycle plastic, paper, glass, and metal to reduce the amount of waste and material used. So these are what you call recycling bins. Alright, so you will throw your metal cans, your paper, and your plastic in the correct bins. And finally, we have reforestation, where you can plant seeds and young plants in forests to restore forests and the wildlife. So these are some people that are planting seeds and young plants in order to restore the forest. And this is a picture of somebody planting seeds.